Hi, I'm Tom Knezick, and I'm the production analyst at Pinelands Nursery. Today we're going to talk to you about what is the real definition of a native plant. If you go on the internet and look up what is a native plant, you're going to get a lot of different results. And they can kind of be confusing. You might not get the clear picture that you want of what a native plant is just from looking up what is a native plant. It kind of puts you into a gray area. But one of the things that all these answers have in common is that they all existed and evolved in a certain area. The other thing that really ties all these answers together is that it was kind of before human introduction. They weren't brought here by people and then introduced to that area. And so really, if you go back to the time of dinosaurs, you can see some plants that we even had since then. Stuff like ferns and horsetail that still grow in the landscape today. And they were present all the way back 300 million years ago in some cases. But there's other stuff that was growing then that we have historic records of, but it's either not native to North America today, or it's just extinct completely. And that's because of different climate changes and how things changed over time. Those plants just didn't evolve with the landscape like some of the other things, like the fern and the horsetail did. So as you went through time, humans started to come onto the landscape. And now, especially in North America, we had Native Americans coming down through Alaska into continental North America. And a lot of the times they would actually bring some plants with them. Just because they'd be a food source, they knew it grew well elsewhere, and they just went from settlement to settlement. They brought some of these plants with them. But the majority of the plants on the landscape were evolving with the landscape slowly over time. Some animals were moving around slightly, but nothing was moving drastically. It took humans a long time to come from all the way from Africa into Asia and Europe, and then over the Bering Land Bridge into North America. So things moved slowly. It wasn't a fast-paced progression. But then, around the I guess 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, we started to see humans coming from Europe across the ocean in their boats to North America. And the first couple trips, they probably brought some plants with them, but the more and more humans that came and settled on the east coast of North America, they're bringing more plants with them, things like apples. And as you started to get more elites in the States, then they were bringing different plants that would show their status. So things that were even from Asia, coming through Europe and then eventually making North America. And a lot of stuff wasn't really much of an issue, but there was some things that we consider invasive plants today. So really, when you want to ask what is a native plant, how we define it is it had to evolve and existed on the landscape for a long period of time, and it couldn't have been introduced by humans after colonization. Everything that came in after colonization is kind of excluded from that native plants argument, just because it happened very quickly since 1600 on. That's when there was a lot of new plants coming into the North American landscape that had not been here for the thousands of years prior. The one last thing I'm going to say in regards to native plants and what really makes a native plant is you have to use a geographic quantifier with them, or qualifier with that. You can't just say, oh, it's native to North America, because North America is a very diverse landscape. You have the desert southwest. You have a really moderate climate in the northeast, another moderate climate in the northwest, and species that might be native to the northwest aren't native on the northeast. And things that are like cactus that are really native in the southwest and in Mexico, they aren't hardy and they aren't native to the northeast. So even though it's native to North America, it's not native here. And the same goes, things that might be native here aren't native to other parts of the country. So you want to really use those qualifiers when you're talking about native plants, and you aren't necessarily saying, oh, it's native to North America. You really want to go smaller than that, even native to a state or a county in a lot of cases. So again, I'm Tom Knezick with Pinelands Nursery, and thank you for listening.